My name is Peter de Snerk, and I'm an affiliated lecturer and the Senior Technical Manager here at the National Research Facility for Infrastructure Sensing at the University of Cambridge, NERFIS in short. And NERFIS is one of the UKCRIC facilities, and we opened back in 2019, building on the expertise that was available here in Cambridge on infrastructure sensing, sensing development, and so on, through the Center for Smart Infrastructure and Sensing. NERFIS is bringing together leading edge facilities and sensor development capabilities across a relatively wide field of disciplines, including civil engineering, infrastructure, design, construction, and so on. If you can move on to the next slide, Joanne, thank you very much. We have a total of about 14 different labs in the building, and given the limited time we have, I'm not going to go through them in detail right now, but they can roughly be grouped in 4 different categories, ranging from sensor development over structures, geomechanics, all the way to construction engineering. The sensor development labs are mostly focusing on the development of sensors themselves. So there we're talking really about micro and nanoscale development of those sensors, including wire bonding equipment, vacuum packing apparatuses, and so on for the actual design of the sensors, all the way to our smart infrastructure laboratory, which then characterizes the sensors themselves, looks into how we can actually deploy them on site, and with our deployment laboratory then actually goes on site to install these sensors. And obviously a quite important part of sensor data is then how we deal with all the data that comes out of these sensors, how we interpret them, how we store them, how we process and visualize them. The structures labs are, well, the traditional structures lab you would expect, added with some additional capabilities. So it's looking into material design and then material optimization, all the way to large scale and even full scale testing of constructional elements as well as systems. So we range from the standard concrete laboratories and mixing capabilities all the way up to our strong floor, which allows high capacity loads with bespoke test rigs, actuators up to 2 meganewtons in force, and capabilities to look into automation as well with the 2 robotic arms that we have installed in our labs. And then we move on to the geomechanic labs, where we have our traditional geomechanic equipment, which you would expect, like soil characterization equipment, triaxial cells, and so on, all the way up to high pressure and high temperature and low temperature test equipment. So there we're looking at rock triaxial equipment, cryogenic baths, frost heave apparatuses, and so on, as well as resonant columns, your standard triaxial cells, and so on. And then finally, the last group of labs is within the construction engineering space, where we have facilities to look into obtaining point cloud and then images from structures by means of satellite imaging, drones, and so on, and bring that data into the lab and look into how we can then visualize the data, interpret the data with visualizers, augmented reality, virtual reality, and so on. Next slide, please, Joanne. As I said, the time is quite limited, so we actually have quite a bit of information up on our website. So I would advise you to hang around in the breakout room or visit our website, nerfis.cam.ac.uk. And if you go to the website, you find a range of news articles on different projects that are currently going on and the different pieces of equipment that are used in those projects, as well as a tab on facilities. And if you just can click a few times, Joanne, if you click on facilities, that will take you to the list of labs that I've just mentioned. And then with a bit of detail on what those specific labs are all about, the type of capabilities that are available, as well as a list with key pieces of equipment. And if you click on those, you get detailed information on the equipment with their key features, measuring capabilities, and so on. Next slide, please, Joanne. Besides the physical facilities and so on, working with NERFIS obviously also gives you access to the team of experts that work here in our building, ranging from our high-skilled technicians over PhD students, postdocs, all the way up to our academics, which are sitting within the geotechnical and structures research groups, but also in the 2 specialized centers which are housed in the building. One of them being the one I already mentioned, which is the Cambridge Centre for Smart Infrastructure and Construction, which is really focusing on sensing of infrastructure at the component level or the asset level, all the way up to large-scale railway sections or even city districts. As well as the Laing O'Rourke Centre, which is focusing on construction engineering and technology and how we can bring information technology within the built environment. Next slide, please, Joanne.
Just 10 seconds left.
Perfect. I'm on my very last slide. So working with us, I would say the best point to start is getting in touch with the dedicated NERFIS team that we have in place, which is led by Professor Giulia Vigiani as the academic lead, myself as a senior technical manager, and Ms. Shelley Aurora Tailby, our senior project manager, who is also attending today, which will be available during the breakout room. And get in touch with us if you want to work with us at different scales, from the point where we run the tests for you all the way up to the point where we can actually host you in our facilities, train you up on our equipment, and then work with you, or make sure that you can perform the experiments yourself using our facilities. Thank you very much for your attention.